All right, if you want the yelling and the screaming, or if you're expecting the yelling and the screaming, you're going to have to wait to the end of the game, and I'll give it to you if this keeps up. First off, all credit to Georgia Tech. They are dominating this game on both sides of the ball. Georgia's being outcoached and outplayed and out-efforted, and they look like the better team. I mean, there's no question about it. It's 17-0, and it should be worse. Georgia Tech had the ball 5 times. They drove the ball the length of the field into Georgia's red zone all 5 times. First possession, field goal. Second possession, turnover on downs. Third possession, missed field goal. Fourth possession, touchdown. Fifth possession, another field goal. So it's 17-0. No, another touchdown. I'm sorry. So 2 touchdowns and a field goal on 5 possessions. But the other 2 possessions, they drove down to the red zone. Georgia's defense is pitiful. The offense is pitiful. Georgia had really one good drive. They drove down into the red zone, and they turned it over on down. They had 3rd and 1. Georgia had 3rd and 1, couldn't gain a yard in 2 downs. Why they didn't take the field goal, I don't know. They should have, but they didn't. Whatever. Go for it on 4th down. They don't get it. They had one other drive that was decent that ended in a fucking fumble on the Georgia Tech 30. But so all credit to Georgia Tech. They've outplayed Georgia. They've outcoached Georgia. They're clearly more motivated here. So now that that's out of the way, I don't. All of those things could add up to Georgia Tech winning at halftime, but not 17-0. 17-14, 17-10, 24-17. Okay. This is piss poor fucking effort here for Georgia. The yo-yo season continues, up one week, down the next. The fact that you're unable to get up for your last home game of the year, an in-state rivalry game, on senior night, and this is the performance that you're putting on the field, is unacceptable. Separate and aside from the up and down that Georgia's been doing all year. You play lights out against Texas and blow them out. Lights out against Clemson and blow them out. Lights out against Tennessee and win by 14, whatever it was. But then you have the Bama game. Then you have the Ole Miss game. You've got the Kentucky game. Even the Mississippi State game where you gave up 31. Up, down, up, down, up, down. But separate and aside from that, the fact that this is the product you're putting on the field in the last week of the regular season, when you're likely headed to the playoffs, is unacceptable. It's a coaching failure. It's a team leadership failure. I'm talking about the seniors on this team. The seniors on this team coasted on the bench to 2 national championships, and they've got 2 national championship rings on teams that they didn't do a fucking thing to earn. Nothing. But sit on the goddamn bench. And now it's their turn, and this is what they put on the field on senior night. The last home game of the year. Because no matter what happens from here on out, Georgia's not getting a home game. If Georgia wins the SEC championship, they get a first round bye, so no home game. If they lose the SEC championship, at best, they'd be a 9 through 12 seed, which means they would play a road game. And if they lose this one, if they lose this game, and then lose next week, they're not making the playoffs. You can hang that shit up. They'd be 9-4, they're not getting in, nor would they deserve to. This is embarrassing. Coaching. This is a coaching failure as far as the week's worth of preparation, getting the team motivated and ready to play. It's a coaching failure in terms of game plan. You're getting out coached. Georgia Tech defensively knows what Georgia is doing, and vice versa. Offensively, Georgia Tech, it seems like Georgia Tech knows every blitz that's coming, everything. They're a step ahead. Georgia Tech's coaching staff is a step ahead in the game. It's clear they were a step ahead last week during preparation. And to the players on this team, I love Georgia. I love all the players on the team. This product you're putting on the field here in this situation is embarrassing, and you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. It's one thing in the middle of the season when you're playing a hapless Mississippi State team to just roll your helmet out on the field and play like shit and get a win, or go to Kentucky and shit the bed and win by 1 where you can't do anything off. That's one thing. Kind of the doldrums of the season. A lot of teams have games like that. Last game of the season, senior night. The seniors on this team ought to be embarrassed and ashamed. Leadership has been a problem on this team for 2 years. Look at all the arrests. Now, the arrests are the fault of the individual that got arrested. I'm not shifting the blame from them. But teams with great leadership don't have that problem. There's no. Who is the leader of this team? Can anyone tell me? And don't say Carson Beck. Now, he's played great the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's got nothing to do with the way he's played. Carson Beck's not a natural leader. He's not. He's not talkative. He's not a motivator. So who's the leader of this team? This is a leaderless team. This is a leaderless team full of seniors who coasted to 2 national championships on the backs of players that gave a fuck. And you don't. You don't get, when this is what you're putting on the field, in this situation, you don't give a fuck. And that's sad. Now, I didn't yell and I didn't scream, but I'll be back at the end of the game.